to Unjustified, where we always cover the truth, the facts, the good, the bad, the ugly, on an unbiased and sometimes very unpopular opinion. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe now and hit the notification bell, and that way you will receive all of our upcoming videos. Thank you so much for being here, and we do hope you enjoy today's video. Welcome, everybody, to
Hi,
Skankers
everyone.
How are we doing tonight? Let's get on with this final episode of this super skanker, Karla.
Right? Let's get rid of this crazy woman.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Crazy, don't even begin to define her.
absolutely
Disgusting.
not. The things we can't say in these lives, as you already know, there's been a lot talked about, a lot shown, enough for YouTube to say, you ain't monetizing this jazz. So none of these are monetized. You won't have to worry about ads in these. And if you do see any kind of ad in any of these Karla ones, then that's because YouTube just decided to set it in there because they ain't monetizing these things. This skank is pure skank.
Yes.
OMG. And as we just said, I mean, the little things we can, the media's covered and is out there, it don't even hit the iceberg of this skank. So we do recommend, if you are really into this case, do your own research afterwards. I did post the link to that Karla movie in the community tab on the channel.
And it's free to watch on YouTube.
It is. It's a free. But please be warned, just like I put in it, it's extremely graphic, especially for TV. And please don't watch it around
Children
under 18. And then just use your own judgment because it's bad.
and trigger warnings. Lots of trigger warnings, guys.
Oh, geez, lots of them. Yeah, and we can't even begin to contemplate covering the things that they did. She did, since we're exposing the skanker on YouTube. There's just no way. There's no way.
Just be warned. Do your research, but be warned of what you're going to read.
Absolutely. Don't think it's a normal case. It's not.
Can I say one, like,
oh yeah,
animal
absolutely.
Involvement? There's animal involvement, if you get my drift.
Absolutely. Yes. Bestiality. Absolutely. That was one of the things.
I didn't know if we could say that word, BC. I didn't know if we were allowed to say that on YouTube. So I was like, how do I word it?
Yeah, we're definitely not.
Just animal warning.
Going to say a lot about it, but they did have a Rottweiler, and how can we say this? They used it a lot. The Rottweiler was involved with a lot of their stuff, and the Rottweiler was, how can we say it? Karla's
go-to.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I know they know what we're talking about. Surely to God. Yeah, it's so bad, y'all.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, them dismembering. What about? We'll try to talk around it a little bit. Leslie Mahaffey. We all know they dismembered her, right? Decapitated her. We've all learned about that. We're going to do a recap as well tonight. A bit of a recap. You know, it's a little different, but it's a recap nonetheless for anyone that's just coming into this case. But Leslie, yes, they dismembered her, decapitated her. She was 14 years old. But not only that, you remember they did with the concrete in the bucket and her parts. Well, they kept her index finger, kept it in the freezer. And Karla used it for herself as well as, how else do we say it?
For Paul.
For Paul as well. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. You're going to see a small clip here, vintage. But it's obviously not going to show that, but I'm just not even going to say no more because YouTube is rough. Kathy Williamson, thank you so much for becoming a member of Team Unjustified, the extra support to the channel. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much.
I live in Ontario, Canada, and I can't either. OMG. Please watch your back, watch your kids.
Yes.
Oh my God.
This
And
woman is walking free.
Yes. And me and Nelly were talking. Can you just imagine this woman getting rehabilitated? No, she's not.
There's no way. The things she did, allegedly, as we have to say.
Well,
there's
babe, think
just
about it.
no
It's
way.
really not allegedly, though. Think about it.
Well, I know
The
that,
videos, the transcripts. But yes, we do have to say allegedly, but
you know how they come for you if you don't use that word.
absolutely. But OMG. And her sister, y'all.
Her own sister.
Yeah. And the one that's still alive, Lori, it's like, I don't know what to say about her.
She defends way too much.
Way too much. And ironically enough, and you will see in these clips we put together, it's almost like she's Karla too. And I'm not saying with children.
Mm-mm.
I'm just saying she's got kind of the same mind. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not here to make you
you take away what you take away from it. See if you agree with us or not. If you see any similarities between the two.
Yes. Oh, Dave, we don't know. We got a hold of Dave. We sent him the link. We talked with him a little bit earlier, but we hadn't heard from him in the last several hours, thinking he may have fell asleep. He may.
I know he didn't sleep good last night, so he's
had a pretty rough week.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. So.
Okay, let's look at this real quick. Adrian, I had a comment disappear. Do you know if it was YouTube or if I was somehow? No, I haven't saw anything disrespectful, hon. I'm pretty sure that's not what it is. YouTube has rolled out a lot of new things within the last week, and they're always doing things like that, and it does mess up some things. So I don't think there was nothing going on, hon.
Yeah, I don't see where any of your comments have been deleted.
Hey, House Huddle. Great to see you, honey. Again, y'all check out House Huddle. She's got a great YouTube channel as well. And I believe she said she was also going to do a documentary on this case. So,
oh, really?
I think she said she was. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she said she was going to try to get everything together and do a documentary on this case.
I will definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
But she's a wonderful channel, guys. So really go check her out.
Really, really is. I'm not going to lie, this story, yes, it does, but glad you're covering it. Glad to catch you live. Well, thank you, Cynthia, and we're so glad to have you here with us. And it's rough. To be honest, most all of these skanker balls are going to, Huddle House said she was going to do a documentary on it. Yay! Make sure you let us know so I can share it too, please. All of these skanker balls documentaries, y'all, are pretty rough. I'm just being honest. They are. I mean, the crimes these women do that we expose here are horrific. At the end of the year, we're going to do a Skankers Vault Awards so we can all vote on the biggest skanker of the year. And so we can expose her all year a little bit in a new intro I plan to make. So, so it's going to be hard to beat Karla, isn't it? It's going to be hard to beat her. It really is. I mean, but we'll have to see what we got for the rest of the year. I know we're going to be doing Susan Smith. We've had a lot of good suggestions. If any of you have any suggestions, make sure and send them to our emails. Nelly has, you can send them to mine, but Nelly is actually the one that is in charge of our Skankers Ball and the topics and who is going to be our next Skanker. So, I mean, you can send them to me as well, but make sure, what do you want in the subject? I can't remember. Skankers Ball suggestion? Is that what she was wanting? Okay.
Yeah, Skankers Ball suggestions.
Yeah, and there is her email right there. If you have any suggestions, just send it to her and she'll put it on her list.
I have that topic flagged so it pops up first above all the junk mail that Google sends you and everything else.
Yeah.
So I have that one flagged so that way it comes up to the top.
Yeah, these are all okay. Again, tonight before we start this little clip, we have made always a trigger warning here with Skankers Ball, and it's never a good thing, obviously. And Karla is one of the exceptions to the worst of the worst, in my opinion. You're gonna hear people say, you're gonna read things, oh, she was a victim. Yeah, she was a battered wife. She was. I mean, there's no denying that.
No.
Paul was a piece of trash. However, she was also a piece of trash. So, I don't know. With her mindset and with her, I fully believe had hybristophilia. Sometimes it makes you wonder, I don't know. Cynthia said she's the worst I remember. Yeah, we've got our first skanker was Casey Anthony. And she is one hell of a skanker. But Karla's pretty damn bad.
Karla takes the cake.
She's bad. Okay. All right, Nelly, are you ready to start our clip, or is everybody out there ready to start watching this recap clip we put together? And then we'll talk a little bit afterwards and possibly talk during it, maybe pause it, but I try not to do that. But if something comes up, sometimes we do.
And also remember, news reported differently back then, and they say a lot more than we're allowed to say today. So.
Oh yeah, it wasn't near as censored as it is today. So there again, that's why we want to throw out a trigger warning, right? Before we even get started. Here's another one. My comment just got deleted. I said hello and asked who this was about. Oh, no, Lolo, no. I'm not sure what YouTube's doing, man. I don't know. We just had another one. The same thing. Had a comment. I'm sorry, Lolo. I don't know. It's YouTube. They're rolling out new things, and it's really messing with the comments. I'm sorry. No, this is Karla Homolka. So see, this is why we're doing the recap on this final episode, because some people are not real familiar with this case and we're able to catch our other episodes in this series. So that's why we're doing this recap as well. So yeah, it's the Autobots is exactly what it is. And if that happens,
no mods have deleted anything, because I can I can see who deletes what, and nothing's been deleted so far.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't know why. I mean, we have the best mods on YouTube. IMO. And so yeah, they're nothing like. Okay, well, let's get started with the recap. Is everybody ready? Everybody got you a drink? And it could get rough, but just again, warning. All right, Nelly, we ready, babe?
Ready as we're gonna be.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Okay, y'all, here we go.
Dear Wendy, I'm letting my bangs grow. After all, I want to look my absolute best when I go to court and see Paul. I want him to drool when he sees me.
If I didn't turn the water tap, he'd hit me. If I didn't say the right thing, he'd hit me. He held knives to my throat. He told me I better watch my back. He said, always watch your back with me. Her feet were tied with that electrical cord that he had used to kill Leslie. And there was electrical cord around her neck. He anally raped her, and then he strangled her after he was done. It stands out really clear in my mind because the night before I left him, he did the exact same thing to me, only he didn't kill me.
This was the Karla Homolka presented by police and prosecutors, a victim deserving of leniency. Homolka also convinced a legion of psychiatrists that she had committed unspeakable crimes only because she was battered into it by an abusive husband. Leniency she got through a controversial plea bargain endorsed by Ontario's Attorney General. The arrangement was made in secret by men whose interests coincided. As a result, her psychiatric assessments were never tested in court. If they'd been publicly scrutinized, we might have had a glimpse of a different Karla Homolka, the one who appears when those psychiatric diagnoses are stripped away. Dr. Fred Berlin is an authority on criminal behavior.
I don't accept the battered women syndrome. That's not what this was about. This is about innocent people suffering, people who had done absolutely nothing that would justify Karla lashing out or doing something that would hurt them. To make the leap from being battered and getting back at your batterer to killing innocent victims is a leap that I'm not prepared to make.
I considered her to be very dangerous.
Mary Hall was a Crown prosecutor involved in the case.
I had some real doubts about the battered spouse syndrome and the fact that she had been acting under duress in relation to what she admitted she did.
The people close to her remember a strong-willed Karla Homolka, an independent young woman who worked part-time in a pet store. In her high school clique called the Diamond Club, Homolka was number one, according to member Kathy Ford and her husband Alex.
She was the tough one of our friendships, and you didn't want to get in a fight with Karla because she was going to win.
Leader or follower, Ms. Homolka?
Leader.
Yeah,
definitely. Oh, he was her knight in shining armor. We looked at him like that. He treated her well. He took care of her. He took her places. He just seemed to be wonderful for her. She was in love, head over heels. I didn't notice anything, no. I was happy for her.
And did she seem happy?
She seemed very happy. And he seemed very happy. I mean, they were all over each other when they were together. They were just together. They had a little dog chain too, like a dog necklace with the little spikes on, not spikes, but
a dog collar.
Dog collar. And
that she wore.
Very submissive.
And interestingly enough, you'd walk into a room and in the back door would be a lace teddy and a pair of handcuffs.
Did she talk about this in a horrible way, like I hate this kind of sex we're having?
No.
What did she say about it?
It was just matter of fact.
It was just the best thing in the world.
7 months before the wedding, the man who would be Homolka's perfect husband was called in by police for questioning in a series of rapes in Scarborough near Toronto. Homolka knew her future perfect husband was a perfect match for the police composite. She also knew her fiancé was obsessed with attractive teenage girls, including one Karla Homolka knew very well. It was her 15-year-old sister, Tammy. Homolka didn't lift a finger to save her sister from Bernardo.
He was being physically and verbally abusive to me at that time, as you know. He kept on pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally I said okay, and thinking that it wouldn't be, it would just be one time, that's it. It would shut him up, and he would stop bothering me and stop hurting me.
This Christmas video was shot just hours before the attack.
Are you in the Christmas spirit? That's all I want to know.
Tammy is already woozy from tranquilizer-spiked drinks that would soon render her unconscious. While being sexually assaulted by her big sister and Bernardo, Tammy would choke and die.
Hi, baby, to go?
Karla Homolka herself has told a number of stories about her state of mind at the time of Tammy's death. In an audio-taped interview with police before she became implicated in the murders, she says the couple's first 3 years were happy ones.
It was great. It was really good. It was pretty well the same all the way through, except we became emotionally closer. And there were never any problems, or very rarely any problems. We had a couple of arguments, but just normal arguments.
Great. Yeah. All right. Who's ever dominant in this relationship?
At the end of June 1991, Homolka married the man she would later claim had abused her so badly. As Homolka and Bernardo paraded their union through the storybook town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, a nightmare was discovered in nearby Lake Gibson. Entombed in 8 concrete blocks, the dismembered body of 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey. What no one knew was that the newlyweds were already bound by ties stronger than marriage, the killing of 2 innocent teenage girls. Homolka's evidence was that 2 weeks before the wedding, Bernardo had awakened her with the news he'd kidnapped a teenage girl and brought her home. Homolka's response was to go back to sleep. The next day, while Bernardo raped Leslie Mahaffey in the guest room, Homolka passed the time reading and walking their dog, Buddy. Homolka was upset, but not for Mahaffey.
Oh, and I was really mad too because when I took Buddy out, there were 2 champagne glasses on the dining room table. And we had these really expensive champagne glasses from France, which we never used. We had those out. The 2 of them had been drinking champagne from those glasses. I was really mad. This is stupid little.
Homolka seemed matter-of-fact as she recounted her version of how Leslie Mahaffey met her death.
And then she took a breath. And that freaked me out even more. He should have slapped me in the face because I was really hysterical then. So he went over to her and he did the same thing. He strangled her more. And I think I watched that time. I was like, what the hell? She's dead anyway. Like.
There's the one.
2 weeks later, they were married and went on their honeymoon. Homolka later claimed to police and psychiatrists that Bernardo had cruelly destroyed her wedding night by telling her he was the Scarborough rapist. Although she'd already been involved in 2 deaths, Homolka would call this the worst night of her life.
He wasn't loving. He acted like he didn't care that we got married. He told me that he was a Scarborough rapist. And it just was not like the kind of wedding night that girls dreamed about having.
After the honeymoon, Homolka told police the marriage went well. There was nothing for quite a while, just small verbal arguments and things. And every day she labored over love notes for Bernardo's pillow, including this one, written just before they kidnapped Kristen French.
It's Easter soon, and do you know what that means? A day off for Carly Curls to spend with her wonderful king. Isn't that great? Love you.
He kept saying, go through what we're going to do. So I said, well, if we see a girl, we're going to stop. I'm going to ask her for directions. I'm going to try and get her over to the car.
As Kristen French was on her way home from school for the long Easter weekend, they put their plan into effect.
So he wanted her right beside him so he could hold the knife to her. And I sat in the back seat, actually more in the middle of the 2 of the front seats. And I held her hair and I held her head down.
French was taken to the couple's home near St. Catharines. Homolka unplugged the phones, closed the blinds, and locked the doors. 3 days of sexual degradation of the 15-year-old schoolgirl had begun. When Bernardo left on an errand, Homolka didn't release Kristen. Instead, while guarding the bound teenager with a rubber mallet, she carried on what she described as a chat between girlfriends.
I never should have gotten to know Kristen because you get emotionally involved with these people and it really hurts. It hurts a lot more because I felt like I was friends with both of them, especially Kristen, because we did so much stuff together. We put makeup on together. We talked, just girl talk when Paul was gone getting us food. And it just made it hurt even more
What Homolka didn't reveal in that interview was that later she had her new friend with a wine bottle as Paul Bernardo watched. 2 weeks later, the frantic search for the teenager came to an end. No one suspected it was the attractive young couple next door who, with 3 killings behind them, were beginning to unravel. Now, friends often saw bruises on Homolka, but said nothing. Then, just after Christmas, he gave her a savage beating that left marks no one could ignore. But within weeks, Homolka had recovered, and within a month, she'd filed for divorce, hit the bars, and taken a lover. Karla Homolka's exciting life as a newly single woman came to an abrupt end in February 1993. Almost 2.5 years after they questioned Bernardo, the police now had DNA results confirming that he was the suspect. Officers located Homolka, and she was cooperative until she realized they had connected her husband to the Mahaffey and French murders. That meant Karla Homolka was in trouble, too. Homolka headed straight for Niagara Falls and criminal lawyer George Walker. She told him her version of what happened to Tammy, Leslie, and Kristen.
Were you broadsided by what she said that day?
Basically, yeah. And but not broadsided enough to figure out that I better get to somebody quick.
You thought she might be arrested quickly.
Certainly did.
So you had to make a move.
I had to make a move, and the quandary I wanted to make the right move.
Walker didn't even need to pick up the phone. Police were on his doorstep that same night, wanting to make a deal.
Guys, okay. Back up, please.
After 9 months and $11 million, all they had against Bernardo was Homolka. But the community wanted an arrest, and Bernardo was picked up. Homolka wanted to avoid punishment and asked Walker to seek blanket immunity for her role in the crimes. Walker and the head of the Crown Law Office, Murray Siegel, started to bargain in local restaurants. Walker already knew the card he would play.
You believe she was abused from the beginning?
Yeah, I do.
Police had begun an intensive search of the couple's home. They discovered a profoundly disturbing 2-minute video. The man in charge of the investigation, Inspector Vince Bevan, was on the scene.
And my understanding of that tape is that in the scene with the woman that you believe to be Kristen French, Karla Homolka is enjoying herself.
Mm-hmm. Certainly gives that impression.
Walker and Siegel met over dinner at Auberge du Pommier in Toronto. With the psychiatric assessments completed, Homolka's deal was finalized. She would get 12 years, 10 each for French and Mahaffey to be served concurrently. She got just 2 years for Tammy and was never charged in her sister's death.
I don't know how you can put that in years. How do you put it in terms? It seemed like Tammy was like a clause or an extra throw-in just to make sure that wouldn't become an issue in future cases. And I just feel that that's so sad that someone who was loved by so many people has been so pushed under the carpet and been left behind.
To this day, there are troubling questions about Karla Homolka's involvement in the death of her little sister, Tammy, might defy even the most exotic psychiatric diagnosis. Inexplicably, Tammy's body wasn't exhumed until 2 weeks after Karla Homolka's plea bargain and sentence had been sanctioned by a judge. Even so, through her autopsy report, Tammy Homolka would testify from the grave against her older sister. Tammy was just 15 years old when she died.
He talked about how he really liked her, how she was getting really cute. Things like that at first. And I would say, yeah, she is, because she was a beautiful girl.
Tammy was becoming a rival for Bernardo's affections. Karla had told her lawyer, George Walker, about a pool party in 1990 when Bernardo and Tammy disappeared for hours. I was very angry because I looked foolish because everybody left the party before they got back. I was alone outside waiting, angry, drinking wine. She then admitted something she never admitted to police and would deny under oath, that she was a little bit jealous of Tammy. Karla claimed she was battered into the assault on Tammy, but she told her friends something more sinister.
This was her wedding present.
This was her way of saying, here's your virgin, Paul.
She did this to keep Paul to marry her?
That's what she told us after.
That's what she told us.
The plan was for me to get sleeping pills. And so I picked the Halcyon. It seemed to have the least side effects. And death was not listed.
In fact, the compendium of pharmaceuticals Homolka reviewed is replete with warnings of potentially lethal outcomes when the drug is misused. In combination with alcohol, it may cause severe central nervous system depression. Tammy's dose was served in cocktails and combined with a powerful general anesthetic.
I don't remember who decided that we needed the halothane. I guess it would probably be me, knowing more about anesthetics and the fact that sleeping pills might not keep her completely asleep.
The CPS warns that non-clinical use of halothane, which she stole from the vet clinic where she worked, is dangerous. Nausea, vomiting, and cardiac arrest are among the adverse effects. Her lawyer's notes reveal she knew that what she was about to do was dangerous. That was another fact she denied under oath. But she did let slip to police that she'd covered her tracks.
What I did, this was my idea, not his, was to call the drugstore and tell them that I needed it for clinic use. The reason I told them for clinic use was because that way I didn't have to give a name. All I had to do was give a doctor's name.
Hi, Tam.
The night of the attack, Karla watched as Tammy grew woozy from the halcyon-laced after-dinner drinks. Karla knew that combination, plus the anesthetic halothane on a full stomach, were risky. When Tammy passed out, Karla held a halothane-soaked cloth over her sister's mouth during the assault. Tammy choked on vomit and stopped breathing. She couldn't be revived.
Those burns are possibly chemical in nature and antemortem.
The only chemical that was near her was the halothane. It was not placed on her face directly. It was held, as I said, like this far away.
Homolka is lying to police. A videotape of the assault recovered later clearly shows Homolka holding the soaked cloth either very close to or directly on Tammy's face. The coroner's report done when Tammy's body was exhumed makes that lie especially significant. The report suggests, among other things, that she may have been smothered during the application of halothane to her face. A condition of Homolka's deal is that she'd not stop the life of any of the girls.
Why didn't you have those facts available for the sentencing?
Because nothing turned on it. There was nothing material that was going to change what happened with Homolka as the result of the exhumation of Tammy's body.
But I thought her deal stipulated that if she stopped the breath of any of the girls, the deal was off.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying it looks like she stopped the breath of her sister.
Contributed to her death.
Not contributing. The report says that Tammy Homolka died as a result of the aspiration of stomach contents while unconscious due to the application of halcyon and halothane. Who applied the halothane to Tammy Homolka's face?
Karla Homolka.
His other hypothesis is that she could have died from asphyxia due to smothering during the application of some fluid to the face. Who applied the halothane to Tammy Homolka's face?
Karla Homolka.
What he's suggesting is that Karla Homolka did stop the breath of her sister.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
6 weeks after Tammy's death, Karla wrote this letter to a friend.
Dear Deb, fuck my parents. First, they took away half the wedding money, then they kicked us out. My father doesn't even want us to have a wedding anymore. Screw that. We're having a good time. If my father wants to sit at home and be miserable, he's welcome to. He's only worked a day since Tammy died. He's wallowing in his own misery and fucking me. Dear Christy, I'm cooperating with the police fully. They're being very nice to me and treating me like the victim I am.
God, it feels weird to be back in here.
The victim was matter-of-fact when she toured police through her Bayview Avenue home where 2 teenagers were murdered. She had chosen to dress as a schoolgirl. Homolka's response to being back in one of the rooms where Leslie...
Might I add here that what you're seeing on her this schoolgirl uniform, this is her little sister Tammy's schoolgirl uniform that she used to wear to excite Paul with. Also, you're going to see where she gets in the basement where they tortured, is the only word I know to use, Leslie Mahaffey. And her sister Lori has requested, she wants to keep that rug that Leslie passed away on. Yeah, you're about to see that. But yeah, I thought it could be something to note, let you know that that is Tammy's outfit she's wearing. Absolutely.
Leslie Mahaffey was attacked was to ask police about her furniture.
Can you answer a question for me? Was any of the furniture damaged as a result of the investigation?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, good, so I'm asking for it.
And upstairs in the bathroom where they cleansed Kristen French's body of evidence, Homolka inquired after her perfume samples.
But I don't have any of that stuff.
So where are all those articles from?
Wherever Paul's lawyer took them.
You're saying Paul's lawyer took a number of articles from you?
Well, from what I understand, his lawyer took basically everything. This is where we carried her down, carried Leslie down the stairs.
And in the basement where Leslie Mahaffey was dismembered, she had yet another inquiry on behalf of her other sister, Lori.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm afraid I can't answer.
Can I have that book? My sister wants it. Or does that have to stay here?
That has to stay for now, but we can make those arrangements.
Okay, thank you. And my Christmas tree.
In July 1993, Karla began serving her sentence at P4W in a segregated cell surrounded by her favorite cartoon characters. 3 months into it, Homolka claimed she remembered another assault. She wrote to her lawyer about a victim we'll call Jane Doe.
Dear George, hi, I'm having a major problem. I've remembered something else. Paul raped Jane Doe, a friend of mine. What I'm really afraid of is that I was more involved than I can remember. I have to tell them, but what if they nail me for this too? Can you do something to make sure they don't? Thanks, George. Karla.
Stephen Williams spent 3.5 years reviewing the evidence in this case. He says Homolka had good reason to be worried.
So just before they get married and before Leslie Mahaffey was kidnapped, 2 weeks before, she did exactly to Jane Doe what she did to her sister, rendered her unconscious with a mixture of halothane and halcyon, and she calls her fiancé on his car phone and says, "Come home, dear, I have a surprise for you."
Stream close up. Whoa!
The surprise was the girl in this video shot by Homolka hours before the assault. It was the first of 2 assaults and the one that was Homolka's idea. But she only told police about the second assault, which happened months later and which Bernardo initiated. 16 months after Homolka's deal, Bernardo's original counsel finally turned over important evidence against his client. Videotapes documenting the sexual assaults of Tammy Homolka, Leslie Mahaffey, and Kristen French. As evidence against Bernardo, they were as good as a smoking gun, but they also exposed something sinister about Karla Homolka. In many cases, she appeared to be enjoying herself as she took her turn sexually assaulting the couple's young victims, including Jane Doe. The tapes also suggested Karla's memory lapse about Jane Doe might have been one of convenience, that she might be guilty of perjury and another sexual assault. The Crown Star witness was in trouble, so another psychologist was brought in, all the way from California. Homolka had showed a remarkable facility for detail, but Dr. Chris Hatcher said she had a form of amnesia as a result of the abuse she'd suffered, and the Crown accepted that Homolka had genuinely forgotten about the Jane Doe assault in June. Even so, she'd committed the assault, and former Crown prosecutor Mary Hall thought she should be charged with, among other things, attempted murder.
She could have died. They did the same thing to to Jane that they did to Tammy Homolka, and we all know that Tammy Homolka died.
It does seem, based on the evidence, that Ms. Homolka was driving that train, that she initiated the assault.
Quite frankly, her evidence was the same on everything, wasn't it? That Paul made me do it.
In the summer of 1995, Karla Homolka testified against Paul Bernardo at his trial. Bernardo's lawyer was John Rosen.
I would pound her with terrible stuff, and she would get stronger and stronger and stronger. And at the end of it, no one in that room or anybody following that trial would ever have believed that she suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, or that she was a battered spouse, or that she didn't have the intestinal fortitude to walk out and blow the whistle and save herself, never mind the victims.
Because the tougher you got, the stronger she got?
Exactly. And so the facade was of the victim, of the battered Karla, was stripped away. And the true, tough little girl from St. Catharines was revealed.
If Homolka wasn't the victim the Crown said she was, then who was she? One psychiatrist who examined Homolka said she was the perfect female accomplice. Because of her plea bargain, her role in the deaths of the girls was never fully explored. Invisible Darkness, a book by Stephen Williams, examines what he believes is the true nature of Karla Homolka.
I think she was desperately afraid of getting caught and desperately afraid of going to jail. The motivation for these murders, everyone agrees, was not sexual. The only possible motivation was to conceal crimes. There's no one who disagrees with that. What the Crown wants us to believe is that it was Paul Bernardo who was the murdering force who wanted these girls dead.
And you think?
And I think that it's exactly the opposite, because Paul Bernardo had no history of killing anyone to conceal his crimes. He didn't think he would ever get caught.
I said, well, we have to go to my parents for Easter dinner. And he said, well, why don't we just not go? And I said, well, I don't think it would look very good. I mean, we're supposed to go to my parents for Easter dinner and we don't go. And I said, well, how's it going to look if, this girl's missing and we have no alibi? We haven't gone anywhere. We haven't done anything. And he said, well, I guess you're right. And because he wanted to keep her for longer. And I didn't want to. I was going to work. I didn't want to go to work knowing that this girl was in my house and she could escape so easily. And I was afraid. So I didn't suggest to him that we kill her on Sunday, but I knew that she had to be gone.
When Paul Bernardo was alone with numerous victims and had the opportunity, he never killed any of them. The only time that people ended up dead is when Paul was in the presence of his wife. I don't know who did the killing. I do know, however, that women and men are equally capable of doing evil and doing wrong, and that in this particular instance, I'm not so certain that that fact was appreciated.
It was justice served, in your view, in this
Yes.
case. 3 dead girls.
Yes. 3 dead girls.
She could have helped them and didn't.
Yes.
Involved in the death of her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Could have stopped it. Didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Is that justice, what she got?
Well, do you want to talk in terms of retribution? I know I'll be criticized for it, but I do believe that justice was served.
So does Karla Homolka, who will be released from prison less than 4 years from now under mandatory supervision. She's considered a model prisoner and, according to her psychiatric reports, poses no danger to the public.
He was already talking about going out and doing it again. And I said, there's no way I'm going through another murder again. No way. The lease on the car was running out. My parents were going to were going to co-sign a loan for $10,000. I was going to do something before that loan was co-signed.
Because she could identify him. Okay, the reason why he started bringing him home was because he wasn't satisfied with just like raping them and leaving. He wanted to have it over and over and over again. That's why his ultimate fantasy was to have like sex slaves. To keep constant beatings. Was hell. He wanted to abduct somebody, but there was nobody.
And when you came back, did you have lots of photographs to show people?
Mm-hmm. Photographs and video.
And were these staged in the sense that he told you you were going to look happy and because you're having a great time, or?
He didn't tell me that, but I knew to smile for a photograph or video camera. Hiding abuse. Like, I mean, every time I went to my parents, I was totally unhappy because, I mean, on the way there, Paul would be lecturing me. You know, if you say or do anything to make them think that we're not happy, you know, I'm going to kill you, you're going to get it. He saw her and pulled into the parking lot and he told me what to do. I had been thinking. What I was supposed to do was call her over and ask her for directions and get out of her mouth and get out of the car and leave the door open. He was going to come around and then put her in the car. So that's exactly what happened.
How was he supposed to keep her in the car?
He had a knife.
I see, so it was by threat. Okay, and it worked?
Yeah. Sunday came and he decided that it was time to kill her. We had to go to my parents' house. He tied her legs together and handcuffed her hands and tied her the whole chest to her on her knees. And he put a rope around her neck and he said to her, he raped her. And no, he didn't rape her anyway. He said something like, do you want to die? And just in the middle of her talking, he strangled her. He just like cut her right off in the middle of her word. He had beaten me really badly. And my whole face was black and blue. The police have photographs of it. He used to make me kneel on the floor in the middle of the bedroom and make me stare straight ahead, and he would walk around me in circles and kick me. And I wasn't allowed to look, so I wouldn't know when it was coming. Well, he raped her when I was there, and I think he made me leave twice.
Why did he make you leave?
I think one of the reasons that he wanted me to kill the next girl was to make.
The defense attorney sat on these videos of these girls, schoolgirls being raped, including Homolka's own little sister.
You know, Nancy, it is such a difficult ethical issue.
Oh, please.
Well, when you're an attorney, you've sworn an oath, so you know you're obligated to protect your client no matter how heinous the client is. Now, if you hide evidence, you're breaking the law. But if you just know where it is and you shut your mouth, you really are doing your job. So sometimes you as a defense attorney hurt inside so badly that you just got to do your job. And you know what, Nancy?
It hurts, doesn't it, Daniel? It hurts.
It does, but we count on people like you, tough-nosed prosecutors, to find the evidence, and there has to be a balance.
Lord. You know, Daniel, how you turned that around on the prosecution, I admire that.
And complimented you also.
Yeah, you did. The sucking up is not going to help tonight. Here in the studio with me, Dr. Patricia Saunders. You know what? She got a free ride on this. She lured her own little son because her husband, co-defendant, wanted a virgin for Christmas. Well, he got one, and shortly thereafter, the sister started choking on her own vomit and died. Authorities didn't even realize this woman, you're looking at her, helped to drug and rape her own little sister. Now, you know what? Dr. Patricia Saunders, she got a light deal because of her looks and because she's a woman. I'm just telling you like it is, but I don't believe this guy brainwashed her.
Absolutely not, Nancy. She has gotten away with murder times 3 and then some. This woman is most likely a psychopath, a serial sexual predator. We don't like to think about women that way.
No, we don't.
About 1% of the population in this country are female psychopaths. Now, to give you an example of what a psychopath this woman is, she wrote a letter to her friend at the time of her wedding saying she was really annoyed with her parents because they were selfishly grieving her sister's death and they wouldn't give her enough money for her wedding and gave it to the funeral instead.
You know, don't you just hate that, Tim Danson, when your parents dare to spend their hard-earned money on your little sister's funeral after you helped kill her? Everybody, Tim Danson is the attorney for the victims' families. And, you know, I'm not hearing it from anybody else, but I am beside myself. 3 lives of schoolgirls, for Pete's sake. And the price, 12 years behind bars? Tim, how can you stand it?
Well, it's pretty shocking, and 30 million Canadians don't understand it either. And at this point, she's going to be released in the next couple of days. And the National Parole Board of Canada, that has unique experience and expertise in these matters, has told us that they feel that she represents a very serious threat to public safety. And more disconcerting is that it's their view that there's a high probability that she's going to reoffend. And a reoffending for Karla Homolka means, another victim who will be raped and murdered. And this is something that's extremely disconcerting for all of us.
Yeah. And she's about to get out from behind bars and walk free amongst us after just 12 short years behind bars. Only by turning state's evidence did she get this sweetheart deal. I say it wasn't worth it. The price tag was way too high. To the attorney for the victims, I'm sure they're reeling over her release, which is coming up next week. It drives me crazy that a defense attorney sat on these videos of Homolka and her husband raping these little schoolgirls. The tapes finally were seen by you. What was on the videotapes? Why did these two serial killers feel they had to immortalize their murders?
Well, I think that's they're psychopaths, they're sexual sadists. No human being should ever have to see or watch these videotapes. Unfortunately, members of the jury had to see these videotapes. The videotapes are graphic. They show the sexual violation, sadistic torture of these 2 young children. They do not show the murders, but they are searing, they are violent, they are shocking, and it shows you the brutality, as I say, that no human being should ever have to see. Paul Bernardo is on a number of occasions telling them that they're going to die, threatening death. But beyond that, there's really no words to describe it. These were 2 innocent children who were brutalized in a manner that's unimaginable.
And Tim, wouldn't they keep the girls for days on end, torturing them sexually, verbally, emotionally before killing them?
Certainly with respect to Kristen French, it was for a number of days. And this is one of the great problems that the families have. When the original plea bargain was made with Karla Homolka, they didn't have the videotapes, but they always said if they had the videotapes, they wouldn't have made the deal. Subsequent to the deal being made, one of the conditions was that Karla Homolka make full disclosure and be honest. But when we viewed the videotapes, we then saw that she had raped Jane Doe, her and Paul Bernardo. She claimed that this was part of post-traumatic stress disorder due to battered wife syndrome and that she had amnesia. At that point in time, we believed that, and still believe strongly, that that was the opportunity to go back on the plea resolution because she had breached it, as well as charge for Jane Doe.
Right.
But unfortunately, they felt that first of all, they bought into the battered wife syndrome and this amnesia, which I consider to be simply.
Wait, who is they?
Well, they had a team of experienced Crown prosecutors who believed in the expert evidence that Homolka's lawyers had put forward that she was suffering amnesia from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay, wait a minute. Question. Tim, didn't they kill Homolka's little sister? I think she was what, Ellie, 14?
She was 15.
15 before the wedding?
That's correct.
Okay, hold on. Elizabeth, can you run that wedding video for me again? This is not a woman under fear of her life, battered women syndrome. Take a look at her partying hardy at her wedding. Oh, no. What about it, Dr. Saunders?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's really disgusting, Nancy. This woman is a psychopath. She is nobody's victim.
Now, wait a minute. Look at this horse-drawn carriage, and she's whining that her parents didn't spend enough on her wedding?
But that's the selfishness of the psychopath. Nothing matters except their needs.
To Tim Danson, again, you saw these videos. They're horrible, horrible, of these two raping and molesting two little girls before murdering them. And this one, Kathy Homolka, would lure the girls in. Didn't they? She drove up to one who was standing on the street, kind of lured her over to ask directions, and then the husband jumps out with a knife, and they put her in the car, and Homolka yanks her down by her hair to make her hide in the back seat, right?
That's what happened with respect to Kristen French, and it's important. Again, from the family's perspective, and I think most people's perspective, is that Karla Homolka always played the role of the compliant victim. That's what she says. But it's interesting in the medical reports when Paul Bernardo inflicted physical harm on her dog. That was something that she was prepared to draw the line in the sand and stand up to him.
You're
and
kidding.
in fact, and did stand up to him, but she wasn't able to stand up to him for her baby sister, her younger sister, and for Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey. So she is the master at manipulation. The battered wife syndrome does not apply to her. She didn't strike out at the person who was allegedly battering her, but she struck out at two young, innocent children.
Well, I find it very difficult to believe, Daniel Horowitz, that this woman you're looking at had been brainwashed by her husband and forced to perform sex on her own sister on a video before killing her, before letting her die that way. Daniel, how could you have possibly strategically defended this woman?
Well, Nancy, I think that with people, we're much more complex than just battered women syndrome. I think she is probably somebody who does look for abusive, battering men, and I'm sure she's battered herself. But we as a society may say, we're going to forgive you if you lash out against the abusing man, but we're going to draw the line. And if you also act out against innocent victims, and maybe with this woman, she took some pleasure in it too, because it gave her a sense of power, then the excuse no longer exists. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are women in our society who are abused, and when they strike back and finally stand up for themselves, we have to give them credit for that.
Daniel, what are you talking about, striking back and standing up for themselves? She helped kill 3 people. She molested them and tortured them. Take a listen to
Yes,
this.
well, Nancy, I know about power. And
There was some very brutal, cowardly sexual assaults, attacking defenseless women from behind and just pummeling them and brutalizing them.
Is Homolka due back in court tomorrow?
Yes, she's seeking an injunction to prevent the media from reporting about her release, from tracking down her whereabouts, from reporting on her in any way, shape, or form. And I understand probably why, because while her first few years in prison, she set to all of her goals. She earned a BA. She did everything they asked for her. Over the last few years, her choice of relationships is rather strange. The first one is with a lesbian inmate, Linda Verino. And this smacks against everything that she said at trial, that she had no interest in women, that she wasn't a lesbian. And then she ends up in a lesbian relationship in prison. And her latest relationship is with convicted killer Jean-Paul Gerbet, who killed his girlfriend back in 1998. And Homolka has been writing letters back and forth with Gerbet, swapping photographs, underwear, things like that. And
Whoa, swapping underwear?
that's correct.
Man, she knows how to pick them, Alan. Alan, they seem like a normal couple, and they've been referred to as Barbie and Ken. What about this wedding extravaganza?
Well, the really scary part about the wedding is that it happened about a week after Paul Bernardo kidnapped Leslie Mahaffey, brought her back to the couple's home, and the pair of them are involved in the rape of Leslie, a videotape rape of Leslie. And then in a horrendous series of events, poor Leslie is killed, and her body is dismembered and put into concrete blocks, which are thrown in a lake nearby. And in fact, those body parts and the blocks were found on the same day as the wedding.
Take a listen to this.
I recognize that there may be problems with enforcing that part of the plea bargain. Once she's free, then she has the same constitutional rights as anybody else.
Our position is no media interviews, no recounting of information directly or indirectly relating to the horrible crimes that she committed.
Dr. Patricia Saunders, you seem especially interested in her behind bars reading material.
Yes, she was reported to be reading a book called How to Disappear Completely and Never Be Found Again. God help us all that this woman is on the loose, because she's going to do it again.
You know, Paula Canny, it's amazing to me that this woman's only going to be supervised for 1 year, and she's already reading a book on how to disappear. I guess you know where, right here. She's probably walking down 3rd Avenue in Manhattan right now, Paula.
Well, I certainly hope not, at least for the 1 year while she's on parole. I don't think that she's going to be allowed to leave the state of the country of Canada or that province. And so, yeah, it's a short parole period, only a year. And going back to that 12-year plea bargain, I mean, I don't think that the prosecutors really thought through that in 12 short years, it's only, 4 years for a person that she murdered. I mean, it is an unbelievably bad plea bargain. Bad.
Horrible. And they had plenty of evidence to take both of these guys down. Stay with us.
They absolutely did.
She got the bargain basement plea deal of 4 years per dead body. She's walking free next week. I wonder where she could possibly be headed. Maybe your town? It's amazing to me that she actually is going to court, according to Alex and Alan, and asking that nobody report on her. How are we, the public, supposed to know where she is?
Well, it's pretty disturbing, but not surprising for Karla Homolka. I mean, as I was saying earlier, this is a person who represents a very serious threat to public safety and is a high risk of reoffending. And she's trying to turn the tables by making herself the victim. The other factor of all of this is that in Canada, like in the United States, we place a high premium on free speech and freedom of the press. And it's constitutionally protected here as it is in the United States. And the thought that someone like Karla Homolka would attempt to diminish those rights is rather objectionable, and I hope the court rejects it tomorrow.
Very quickly to Dr. Patricia Saunders, do you think there are other victims?
Yes, there are some reports that the sisters' friends are coming forth now that they too were drugged and raped.
From manslaughter to minivan mom. This is Karla Homolka dropping her children off at school now that word is out who she is. One parent was very vocal, yelling at the media to leave the confessed killer alone.
Jesus! Jesus!
Homolka goes by a different family name, but her history follows her. She was arrested in 1993 along with her husband at the time, Paul Bernardo. The couple was accused of raping and killing 2 schoolgirls. While Bernardo would get life sentences, Homolka struck a controversial plea deal. She would serve only 12 years for her role in those killings and another, the rape and death of her own sister. Homolka spoke out after she was released. The day she got out, she said she didn't want to be hounded and that no one should think she's a danger. Well, what has some parents upset are revelations Homolka hasn't just been dropping off her kids, but on at least 2 occasions volunteered at the school. Parents want to know why someone with her history was allowed around their children.
So I don't know why they allow her.
Now, the school is a religious private academy. It says it was aware of Homolka's identity and past, but insists she was never alone with children.
Do you have anything to say to us?
But can she volunteer? Well, despite the horrific nature of her crimes, Homolka has no conditions or restrictions on her freedom. She served her full sentence.
Karla Homolka got away with murder.
Lawyer Tim Danson represents the families of Homolka's victims. He says her plea deal should have been thrown out. Hearing her name back in the news.
Parent at that school, I would be very concerned. I would not want my children anywhere near Karla Homolka.
Now, Homolka's ex-husband will be back in court this summer. After serving 25 years, Paul Bernardo is asking for a parole hearing. The families of the victims will fight that and are getting ready to dredge up horrible memories again.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, huh? Pretty rough.
You know, lover, hater, Nancy Grace.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it when she cut that guy off because that guy was pissing me the heck off.
I know.
I just loved it. She was like, You could still hear him in the background rattling his little mouth off.
Oh yeah, I don't agree with everything Nancy says, but a
Mm-mm.
lot of the things, a lot of the cases she hits, I'm right there with her.
Yep.
God, it's just too much to wrap your head around this case, right? It is just too much. God.
Too much happened. There's so many moving parts to this whole thing. It was just like, good God, they messed up so bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's got 3 kids. We do know that her first one, I think they're pretty close in age. Her first one was born in 2007, which would make, I think it's a boy. I think the first one was a boy. 17 today. Yeah, Karla has been out of prison since, what was it, 2005? Was it?
So.
Yeah, I think it was. And but she has since divorced. Her husband's divorced her. She does have no, from what we last read and understand, she has no contact with her children. He has her children, and it does make you wonder why. I mean, what's the deal with that? Or, what happened?
And mind you guys, he knew what she did. He knew who she was.
Absolutely. He sure did. Because for those of you that don't know, she married her attorney's brother. Yes. When Paul first got arrested and they were awaiting trial because, she got that deal with the devil. For 2 years, she was out partying. She was contacting Jane Doe to come and have threesomes with her and her new husband. She lived with her attorney. She was partying. That's where she met her husband that she married when she was released. Someone asked earlier, didn't she change her name? Yes, she did, to Leanne Teal. And the last name Teal, well, ironically, that is also the last name that Paul changed his name to. He changed his name to Paul Jason Teal. And they got the last name, from the movie, I think it was a 1989 movie, if I'm not mistaken, Criminal Law, that starred Kevin Bacon, about a serial rapist killer.
Yep.
And they both changed their last name to Teal. And we can't believe the parents stand by her either. I mean, we talked about that a lot. And the sister, Lori, like, what? What is up with her?
Why does she want the rug that a teenager was brutally attacked and murdered on?
Exactly. And these photos and these screenshots of her talking about getting drunk, getting drugged, getting spanked, vomiting everywhere, knowing that's literally what killed her baby sister. I thought about that too, House Huddle, what her kids have to go through. They're at the age, and social media is out here. They're going to know what their mom did.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Barbie. Barbie was trending recently. It may still be because of the new Barbie.
Because of the movie.
Yeah. So Barbie was trending. So just a quick search anywhere, Google, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere, Barbie and Ken, this is going to come up.
Yeah, it doesn't just pull up the movie and toys. It pulls up them as well.
And it's very well known, and what about these kids? That's my mom, oh my God, that's mom. And let's talk about the prison she was in for just a hot minute.
Was that a prison?
Well, supposedly. I mean, she spent 12 years, but it was like a dorm. It was like a college dorm.
Mm-hmm.
She had.
That's what I said. Was it a prison?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like a college dorm. She had a key to her own dorm. And she had everything she wanted, as you saw in the video. All of her stuff. She could have visitors whenever she wanted. They could even have pizza delivery there. She could go outside, and as you saw her photo, sunbathe, topless, on the, I'm going to call it a campus, because it's a cupcake. It wasn't even a prison. I don't even get it. They say it was a prison. It wasn't. Now, right before she was released, not long before, she was moved to a maximum security prison, and she lost her shit. She was writing her attorneys. She was losing it. But she was just fine while she was at that dorm. They didn't even wear prison clothes there, as you saw in her photos. Her family did her laundry, brought it back to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she had cell phones, TVs. Like I say, they could call and have pizza delivery. Yeah, look up the prison she was in sometime and just check out how easy she had it. Now, how in the hell did that teach her any sort of lesson?
That's why I said there's no way this woman was, quote, rehabilitated. There's no way she...
Unbelievable.
I have no words, man.
Yeah. I mean, what she was put into for her punishment, for her 12-year punishment, or I think it was 11 years she was there, something like that. Dude, that's something people would like to go to just to get away from everything or something, you know? I mean, she had it literally made there. Not only that, she was continuing her sick love affair with another inmate that was in for strangling his girlfriend to death. You know, just her mind. She should have never been put back out into public. She should have at least went into a mental asylum or something. There is a few books about this case, Becky. A few. Invisible Darkness. There are several. They're bad. They're bad.
Bad.
Yeah, I don't even suggest reading them. I couldn't read it all. Nelly didn't even get through as much of it as I did.
I had to stop, guys. There was no way.
Gosh. Yeah,
I have a strong stomach. I can handle a lot of things, but
yeah, it's the things these two done is just incomprehensible. I mean, you can't even put words to it. This is the stuff. This is worse than the things you see on the dark web.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've made it no secret. I've been through things. Everybody, our members know I've been through things. And
Yes.
I have triggers out the wazoo when it comes to children being hurt or women being essayed. I just have bad triggers. And the books and doing the research on this one was really, really hard.
Oh, good Lord.
Honestly, guys, Kim did way more research than I was able to do because there was a lot of stuff I could not get through.
It wasn't easy to do this. I mean, at all. And the clips, I was having to be very, I took so much out that I was like, yeah, I can't even do that. And what you guys have seen in these clips, in these 4 episodes, they're bad, right? No, they're horrible. But it's nothing compared to what these two did. It's bad.
Those poor girls.
My God. Her sister, man. Like, nobody was even charged in her death.
No.
Seriously. I mean, there's literally been no justice for her, and they even exhumed her body and everything. And think about that damn photo they put in the coffin with her. I mean, oh my God. Mm-mm. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Putting a photo in there of them anyway, knowing what they did. But that photo of him waving and them laughing, that's creepy, man. I mean, I don't, there's not much words for these two except sadistic, psychopathic freaks. Yeah, they were able to exchange underwear, yeah.
I'm sorry. I know people, the death penalty is a big controversial topic, but they deserved.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
be,
I don't have a doubt.
If they were here in the state of Texas, they would be.
My God, okay, we'll try to somehow, Nelly, we'll try to say this without saying it, and maybe people understand about Tammy.
Oh.
Yeah, this is oh God. The one of the things Karla did to Tammy, geez. After Paul did his thing, then Karla did her thing orally.
Yeah.
And how do you say it?
She was
ministrating.
Tammy, I was going to say cycle.
Yes. Tammy was ministrating as well after Paul did his thing. Yeah, oral. Yeah. Tammy, Karla to Tammy. Cleaned up Paul's, and Tammy was ministrating. That's the only way we know to say it. And yeah. And this is all on video. The jury had to watch it. And Karla is saying how wonderful it is. And then after the fact, she is dressing up as her sister. Yes, Becky, it's horrific. But in the video, in the transcript, Karla's all about it. She's like, this is the best. This is the greatest. Oh, this is our personal little virgin. And while Karla's doing that, that is when Tammy vomits and passes on. Yeah. Like I that's just a little. I can't even get into everything these two did. Disgusting. Like absolutely humiliating.
The transcripts are out there, guys. If y'all want to read them, you can find them. They're out there.
Yeah.
They're published, obviously, because we read them. But just read with caution.
That book, what was his name? What is his name? The book Invisible Darkness, I'm pretty sure is the one I'm getting at. One of the jurors leaked the transcripts from these tapes, and they're in there. And he was actually sued for that. But undoubtedly, since the judge did rule that the public could hear the videos during, if they were in there, but they couldn't see them. Undoubtedly, there was nothing done with him being sued because the book wasn't pulled. It's still on Amazon. But warning, I think Mac J's been reading it, but warning, let me tell you, it's very graphic. Very horrific. Thank you for being with us, Vintage. We really appreciate it. And
girl, thank you.
I hope you don't either, honey. It's a hell of a rough case. And what about her kids? I mean, man, her kids, her neighbors. I'm telling you, if she ever meets another Paul-minded kind of person,
she'll do it again.
100%. 100%. Who's to say she's not? Who's to say that's why her husband didn't divorce her? I mean, who's to say that's why she's not with her own kids? I mean, who knows?
Well, I mean, it was in the book what her fantasy was to do to her own children one day with Paul.
Oh yeah. While while wearing that schoolgirl outfit that you guys just saw her wear during the walkthrough in the murder scene, had Tammy's panties on Tammy's bed, rubbing it all over Paul's body, telling Paul, "Oh, honey, now we have to get our." How did she say? "Oh, honey, now we have to get our own personal virgins again somehow," or something, and yada yada yada. She's like, "Well, why don't we just have 4 kids?
Make our own, something like that.
Why don't we just have 4, and then that way we'll always have our own personals." And I can't wait to watch you and me or them.
I mean, who says that?
And then has kids. Like, that wouldn't be happening here. I'll tell you right now. I know she wasn't. She should have been charged with some kind of SA charge, but she wasn't. She has no sexual charge against her whatsoever. None. She does not have to register as an offender.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Which is ridiculous. Yeah, she does not have to register. The only thing she was charged with was 2 accounts of manslaughter. That was it. And she done those 12 years, 6 years each, and released. Nothing, with nothing. She doesn't have to register. No. So, I mean,
She wants the press to leave her alone and nobody know where she's at.
Yeah. And she's forever changing her appearance, her hairstyle, her hair color, her name. I thought it was ironic. And she was so in love with Paul, man. So in love with Paul. Literally. Also, her diary. It's out there too, y'all. She kept a diary. Basically, her whole life, she kept a diary. But during all this that they were doing before she got married and after she got married, it's out there. Karla Homolka's diary. If you're brave enough and can read that kind of thing, to just see how her mind works, she would say in it, always greet Paul at the door with a smile. Always be ready for him. But always remind yourself that you're garbage and you're worthless. You're worthless. He is the king. Like, her mind really believed that. Truly believed that he was the king. And she was worthless garbage. And this isn't things she put into this diary after the fact either. No. No. Yeah, these were discovered during the investigation. So if she ever finds another king, and like we say, who's to say she hasn't, believe me, there is some Mac Nasties out there that was watching this case and thinking, I wish I had a Karla. There was.
Ugh.
There was. There is some sick people out there. And what if she's met another Paul? I mean, she's 53 years old now. So if she's still keeping herself cleaned up and her Paul is as, I don't know, what's the word for it, clean cut as the one she had before, nobody would suspect him if they didn't know who she was. because they're older. So, yeah. No, there was no monitoring mail. Actually, they could go out and check the mail themselves. I'm telling you, it wasn't even like a prison at all. Not even at all. Do a little research on the prison she was in. What was it called? Joliet, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was within the last, I don't know, after she got out of that prison. I don't think it's been that long, but anyway, the prison's been shut down now because so many people were complaining it's not teaching them anything. There's no punishment here. It's been shut down now, but it wasn't then. And like we were talking about earlier, they could even call and have pizza delivered, lay out topless on the grounds, have her own cell. She even had a key. She even had a key to her own dorm.
Door.
Yeah, she did.
It wasn't even a cell.
No. Mm-mm. There
And
was
that's
not
why
even,
she flipped out when they sent her to that other prison.
yeah. And there was not even any, they didn't even wear prison clothes there.
Nope.
Well, you saw the pictures of her. Look how she was dressed while she was in prison. Yeah, Joliet, yeah. It was a minimum security, and everybody in Canada complained and complained and complained and petitioned about her being in this prison until finally, just before she was released, they moved her to a maximum security prison. And she was mad as hell. Oh boy, she was mad as hell. Yeah,
I'm so
that's what I
sorry
said.
she was inconvenienced, but there are 3 young girls laying in a damn grave. So,
Oh my God, I know. It's just,
it's
and Tammy
disgusting.
never got justice.
No.
I mean, damn, it's like her own family wasn't even really, her own family was defending the murderer. I mean, honestly.
Well, that's the truth.
I mean, how else can you say it? It's just no words. And her sister is her best buddy, right? Her biggest defender. I do know that her maternal grandmother does not speak to her anymore. She completely disowned her for damn good reason. See, Tammy was the baby sister. It was Karla, Lori, and Tammy. And Tammy's the one that passed away. Or I shouldn't say that. They killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all, this is going to wrap up this skank. It's been a rough one to get through, but there again, me and Nelly believe that these skanks do deserve to be exposed for who they are and what they are, and we don't think anyone needs to forget these sorry skanks.
Nope, and definitely don't forget their poor victims.
Exactly. These victims, their stories need to be heard. I know they're horrific stories, but it's their story. And brushing things like this under the rug, especially for skankers like her that is out there, no telling where the hell she's at. I don't think that's a good idea, especially with her not even having to register as an SO when she is one of the worst SOs I've ever covered him, ever. I mean, sadistic, psychopathic, and she liked it. That's the thing. She enjoyed it. She even enticed it. Yes, she even directed Paul. She's the one that helped lure the girls there. Gave him her little sister for Christmas.
That guy made a point before her Paul was a serial rapist already out there raping women, and he never once killed them until he got with her.
Yeah. And Karla was extremely jealous of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But she went along with his craziness because she enjoyed it too.
It's like
But
a
he was,
sub-dom kind of thing.
yes, in a bad way, right?
Yes.
Paul was obsessed with Tammy. Like he was in love with her. And many people believe that she was so jealous of Tammy and these other girls that she wanted them gone after he'd done what he did. She wanted them gone so that he couldn't continue to love on them, because Paul wanted to keep a sex slave with them at all times. So he just wanted them to stay in the basement so they could just, he could do just whatever, kind of like a J.C. Dugard kind of thing. That's what Paul wanted. He just wanted to keep one in the basement, right? But she would get very jealous. You heard her even admit she got mad because he drank out of their champagne glasses with one of the victims. Yeah. She got pissed off at that victim because Paul let her use one of the champagne glasses. Now, she told the police this. What?
What were they thinking? I mean, good Lord.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I get that people have to have defense attorneys, but I'm with Nancy Grace here. I know the defense attorneys have to protect their clients or whatever, but they were sitting on damn evidence that would have stopped her getting that daggum, what you call it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they couldn't come back and renege on that damn plea deal.
There you go. I couldn't think of the words then.
Yeah,
I don't know
why
why they couldn't either. I
why
mean, with
couldn't they negate that? Think about it. It was made under false pretenses. When they gave her that plea deal, she said that she didn't do anything, didn't kill anyone, and the only reason she even helped Paul is he made her. The videos absolutely proved that to be a total lie. She is the one that brought the girls to Paul, 2 of them. Well, actually 3 of them. Jane Doe, the 2, what was her name? Kristen, the one from work, twice.
Yep.
So I mean, they should have been able to pull that plum off the table because it was made under false pretenses, but they did not do that. They went ahead and just let it go because they had already signed everything. Thank you so much, Ree. 12 months, a whole year. Thank you so much for all of the support to the channel.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate you. She did everything for him, so she probably felt disrespected. Possibly, but reading these transcripts and from what the jury said, their friends said, she liked it. Like she liked it.
She enjoyed it.
Yeah. And she enticed it, encouraged it. Like he told her, I am the Scarborough rapist. And he said, well, how would you feel if I told you that was me? And she's like, oh my God, I think that would be cool as hell. And he's like, well, I'm cool as hell then. And she freaking loved it. And before he was bringing and doing it together, she's like, please just tell me every detail of everyone you rape, everyone. And he would tell her, and she would just, pleasure herself listening, right? She loved it. So I don't put her as being the
victim.
whatsoever. No, not the victim, not Stockholm syndrome, because when she got pissed off at
Battered
him
wife.
yeah, I don't see that, because when
Mm-mm.
she got pissed off enough and he beat the shit out of her with that flashlight, she's like, you know what, screw you. And she left, right? She left and went straight to the cops. You know, so anyone with Stockholm syndrome, they don't do that. They continue to be beat down, beat down, beat down until usually something, they're the ones 6 foot under, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Mac J. Really appreciate that. And we
Oh,
appreciate
thank you,
you.
sweetie.
Mac J is always there for our Skankers Ball. We had to cut back on Skankers Ball for quite some time because we had so much going on. And Mac J continued to ask about it. And to be quite honest, Mac J is one of the biggest reasons that we was like, yeah, let's continue with that show. Let's just continue with it, because there's people out there that want to see it, you know? So, yeah.
So thank you for being our personal cheerleader to
That's
cheer us
right.
on.
That's right. She's great.
I think somebody asked who's going to be our next.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be Susan Smith.
Susan Smith, yes. She is one hell of a skanker. We're going to pull out a lot on her. I remember reading about Susan, y'all. And I could be getting it mixed up with another case. It's a possibility. But because we know it's been a while since her case, and she is a real skank as well. But Nelly, I don't know if you remember, because I know it's been a long time on that case, but wasn't her husband bad to her? I mean, I know he was a great father, and he was all about his kids during all the interviews, and I know he had nothing to do with this, nothing, because it's
According to her, he was. I don't.
Yeah, we haven't researched
Man.
enough to know if it's
I
fact.
haven't. Yeah, I have the book. I've got to get back into that, but I stopped so we could do the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So I'll read it tomorrow, and Monday I'm not doing anything. I'm going to church, and then after that I'll come home and read that book.
Yeah.
And I'll have it finished by Monday.
Susan Smith, House Huddle. It's the skank that put her little boys, I can remember their names, Michael and Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Put them in their car seats and then pushed her car into the lake and watched it sink while the babies were pounding on the windows because she had a boyfriend that didn't want kids.
Instead of leaving them with the father that desperately loved his children.
Yes, he did. He can't take anything away from that.
No.
From what we saw, you cannot. Yeah, she's a true skank. Yes, Andrea Yates is different.
No, that's a different story. She had mental health.
Absolutely. If we do Andrea, because
she won't be considered a skankers. Can't add her to skanks.
Yeah, we just can't.
Not in my. I just couldn't put her there.
No. Now, if this was about men, we could do. I feel like we could do. I could put her husband there.
Oh well, yeah, in a heartbeat.
I mean, that's a sad case right there. And I do have a playlist on here about mental illness cases and things like that, mental illness crimes, but I don't have Andrea in there yet. But we may do something on her, but I can't put her in the lineup of a skank. Just can't. It's sad. They say she's still, she's in that institution still, and she will not. And they say she could have went up for parole and could have possibly got it many times, but
she doesn't want to.
And she has those baby dolls, and she's always putting them in the bed, covering them up, combing their hair. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yates is so sad of a case. Yeah, I believe she mentally snapped as well. Absolutely. And I blame her husband. I'm sorry, but the doctors told him told him she did not ever need to be left alone with those kids, told him she needs to stop getting pregnant. She doesn't need any more kids. I mean, she was having this postpartum with every child, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And this freak is like, well, you know, if God says we need kids, then it's meant to be. And she's a good mom. She just has her days. No, dude. She has got some severe mental issues. And he goes on to get remarried and have more children. Are you kidding me?
What a piece of crap.
He needs,
in my opinion, anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the doctor warned him multiple times. So, yeah, as we said before, if y'all got any suggestions on who we could use as a skanker, Nelly's right there is her email. Send your suggestions to her for skankers, and she will put them in the lineup. And make sure you title it or put in the subject line Skankers Ball suggestion, because Nelly is the one that chooses our skanker of the week, and she does a hell of a good job with it, you know.
Thank you.
Hell of a job. And so, yeah, next week we're going to be working on Susan. We will go in her background. We'll learn a little bit about her, do a little premiere before we do the live. That way it'll kind of give an idea into the case, a little of her background, a little of his background, a little bit what happened, look at some photos maybe, and then we'll go right into the live of it and discuss it, probably watch some clips like we always do, because I think the clips, I like to watch the clips. You know, it takes you back.
I do too. Yeah.
It takes you back to when it was happening, and it kind of paints the picture much better than can actually just be explained, right?
Mm-hmm. It really does.
I think so too, and that's what we'll do. I got to get working on the monologue for Susan, and I believe hopefully we can wrap her up like we did Casey in one episode, you know, and not have to pull it. But there was just no way in hell to do Karla in just a couple of episodes. You just can't wrap that skank up in one.
No, there was no way we could do one. Not even two. Sorry, it turned into 4, guys. But
yeah, I mean,
we were just so much. We were worried we weren't going to finish tonight either.
Right.
I was like, oh gosh, it's going to turn into Karla Island now.
No kidding. We ended up taking out so much, and we were like, dang, I don't know, man. There's still so much out there, but we're just going to stop it here. And, you know, people can buy the book. As I say, we had the movie in the community tab on the channel, Karla. But again, be warned, it's rough to watch. Please, yes, do that, House Huddle. Also, remember, go join her channel. She's also going to be making a documentary on Karla and Paul.
Drop your channel link in there, House Huddle, too. I can't get to my copies of links that I have. I have yours, but I can't get to it.
Yeah, yeah, her documentaries they're rocking, y'all. She does
They're
watch
really
too.
good.
They really are. And she's very good at explaining it all too. So, I mean, if you're not a member of her channel, you're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a case where a woman killed her husband and served him up to it. Yes, I just read about that the other day. What is that case? Oh God, I wrote it down. There is. That's a hell of a case too.
The one where she killed him and fed him to the parents?
Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes. I can't think of her name. Yeah, I've got her wrote down though, Nelly. I'll put it by there. What about Karla, dude? Eating her iguana's head.
Ew.
Yeah, I think you had left the other night before we learned that. Yeah, Paul had chopped off her iguana, her pet iguana she had had for a long time, and they barbecued it, and she ate the head of her pet iguana. And she also ate Paul's feces and drank his urine.
That part I read.
Yes. I mean, there's nothing that bitch didn't do, I'm telling you. Loving and Losing Lacey. Yes, Lacey Peterson. Part 2 was posted tonight. It's a deep dive into Lacey's medical reports and my theory. Oh, yeah, y'all check that out. Lacey Peterson. Sounds like she's got a 2-parter going on over there, documentary. So y'all go check that out.
That case broke my heart.
Yeah, we could possibly touch on that if there's enough information out there on the case that we could deep dive, pop and sass. Sure, absolutely.
Who is it?
A person.
Oh, yeah, I was fixing to say that if there's anybody that has a personal case that you know of, feel free to email me about that as well. And if you want to talk to Kim and I, we can do like an interview to discuss it and everything with you.
Yeah.
We're down for that as well. If that's what you want to get the information out, we'd gladly help you guys,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If y'all have anyone y'all know that you want their story put out there, missing persons or anything like that, yeah, let us know. I've done that several times for members, for their families. Absolutely. We don't want any victims to be brushed under the rug.
Mm-mm.
That's why we're here. This is a little unusual for me, but when I think about Susan Smith's boys, I can still see the one face that is, oh, I know. Oh, it's so sad. I can still see that one photo in my mind, and then pulling that car out, talking about his fingerprints on the window, his handprints on the window.
I know.
Oh, God. Oh, God. And trying to get his seatbelt, they're trying to get out of those car seats. Okay, yeah, just we'll do that. I'll share it over here on the channel as well. House Huddle in the community. Sure will. I got you, girl. Y'all go check out that. Check out her channel. Check out this new Lacey documentary. I actually had one of my subscribers just the other day asked me about doing a synopsis on Lacey Peterson from the book her mom wrote, and I told her I absolutely will. So that's the gathering place. If you're hearing this on the replay, make sure you go check out her channel. She just did a documentary on Lacey Peterson. So go check that out. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a synopsis on that for her. And the baby handprint. Wasn't that terrible? Okay, it's Catherine Knight. Okay, we'll write that down. We'll get that.
Do you have a notebook by you? Because I
do. And she was honest. Yeah, I'm definitely, that's the next book that I'm doing a synopsis on. I'm in the middle right now of doing a synopsis on one of our skankers, our coming up skankers, Lisa Montgomery. Oh, she's a skanker too, y'all.
Yes, she is.
Oh. It was his children she served him to, not his parents. Yes. Yes. And Karla and Paul served all kinds of stuff to her parents. Y'all learned that in the transcripts. These people are terrible. We keep going back to Paul and Karla. Let's close that chapter, Nelly, right here, if we can.
Karla has ended.
That's right. You will not hear back from her unless she wins the Skanker of the Year award at the end of the year. If she gets the most votes, and it's going to be damn hard to beat her, but who knows? Who knows? It could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank everybody for being here and the mods. Dave did text us, and he said that he had fallen asleep. He was having some knee issues, and he's had a hell of a day. He did text, though, and let us know that he was in the chat off and on when he's not falling back asleep. So, but he was with us for a bit. He just wasn't texting because he just didn't feel so well. So, thank all the mods for being here. Nelly, of course. Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you, mods, for watching the chat for us and stuff.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. And y'all share the videos, share the playlist for Karla and Paul, or share our Skankers list, share it out there in your true crime groups, because we try to deep dive them as well as possible. But if you share this one, make sure and you let people know that it is bad, because I damn sure wouldn't want, just sensitive people coming into this one thinking it's just your regular true crime case, because it's not. It's sadistic as hell, especially knowing she's out there, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes it the worst for me, is that she's out there,
just free, and doesn't even have to register. It's unbelievable. Honestly, it just is. But but we'll be back Saturday. It should be Saturday, maybe Sunday, but we're going to try our best to keep it on Saturday. Skankers Ball with Susan Smith.
Yes.
So y'all make sure and be with us. As far as What's Wednesday, I don't know. I don't know if we'll be doing it. I know we're not going to do What's Wednesday every Wednesday, because I just don't know what more we can talk about on that case. Dave's the one that picks the topics for that case, so it depends on what Dave has planned. I don't know yet. But we will be back with Skankers, and if I find anything else interesting about Karla and Paul that's not too bad, that I can drop into their playlist in a video, I'll do it, because they do have their own playlist now. So, okay, guys.
And of course, we're night owls, so there might be a day we just pop up one day just to chit chat like we've done in the past.
That's right.
Random topics.
That's very possible. Just a pop up. What's up? We do it.
Yep. All right. Good night, everybody. And thank you for all being here. We truly appreciate all of you.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave us a comment below on your thoughts of this video. And until next time, this is UnJustified.